Nintendo Switch Online service launches tonight. After a few hours of maintenance, the thing will be ready for the bright lights, ready for the big show. But fans seem to be far more worried than excited. And this is evidenced by Nintendo's overview trailer, which they posted on their official channel a few days ago. It was met, Gabe, with 28,000 dislikes thus far to only 7,000 likes. That's not a very good ratio, and there is a lot of frustration in those comments. It's kind of been expected, I think, that this wouldn't be met with the most enthusiasm, but T-Bold Games has the top comment, and to me, it sums things up. He says, "This is literally the first time I ever disliked a Nintendo video."
Yeah, the hardcore are not happy with what's about to happen. It's always going to be a difficult transition, going from, hey, this has been free, to, hey, now you got to pay, even though the price is pretty fair, in my opinion. In our opinion, I think I can say the same for you. The $20 a year, we're going to personally each buy it, and not a lot of complaints, I guess, but it's hard to not stop and think about everything everyone's saying and kind of wonder, do they have a point?
Yeah, and those main points are, one, just anytime you flip a switch and go from free to paid, that's going to be a problem. But it's also why it's being converted to paid and what you're getting out of it. And I think there was this expectation that there would always be more, that we have more to discuss, we'll give you the information at a later date. They sort of saved their trailer and their discussion for the last possible moment, right before launch day. And it did not bring anything new. I feel like most of the frustration is this is all stuff that, should be expected and given, and maybe even more should be given, and yet you're trying to charge for that. So we have people taking issue with the fact that, hey, the cloud saves aren't even working as we expected. People taking issue with, hey, you got to check in for the NES games. People taking issue with still no onboard messaging, and you're requested to use the phone app if you want to deal with any sort of voice chat. And, even I've seen backlash to the whole NES games. Virtual Console was coveted for so long, but it seems like now, and maybe to those who don't have that Nintendo nostalgia, okay, we look at comparable platforms and they're giving us new free games. A lot of people don't seem to care about 20 NES titles.
Yeah, and maybe this is unpopular for me to say, but I don't think NES games hold up super well, unless you're one of the select few, like Zelda, I guess, and Metroid, some of the Mario games. But they are very old games, and people are gonna take issue with that, and the slow trickling of them as well. You're gonna get 3 a month for the next few months, and after that we'll see how things maybe change going forward. But yeah, I guess, and I agree with this, once online goes live, my Switch experience isn't that different, except that I have $20 less in my wallet. But I'm not gonna play the NES games a ton. I'll try them just because it's a thing we do. But I'm not incentivized to really play them. Cloud saves, I don't have cloud saves for the one game I want cloud saves for. So I really want my Splatoon cloud save because I lost all my progress. I lost all the time I had put into it. All my weapons are gone, my loadouts, the leveling up I had done, my ranking. It's all gone now because my Switch was stolen. And now, I'm afraid of something happening again, and hey, I don't have my saves. It's great for most other games, and Nintendo has assured us that it's going to work for a large portion of their games, but why can't it work for everything when it works for everything everywhere else? And I think it's very hard to talk about this, Zach, without bringing up the other platforms. So I'm going to do that now. Microsoft, they do cloud saves for free. You don't got to pay anything, and there is no limitations. PlayStation, yeah, you got to have PS Plus, but again, you can have everything in the cloud saves. And they've added so much more on each one of those platforms. And yeah, they're way more expensive, so I guess. But Nintendo can do all that. For some reason, they're just making it a conscious effort not to.
And PlayStation, since you brought them up, they did see similar pushback when they activated PS Plus and brought in that charge. So some of this, you kind of just have to, I think, toss aside and say, okay, there's always going to be some frustration when you activate a paywall, right? That's inevitable. The issue is, what are they adding while they flip that switch? And I think that is where people have a good point. I saw a lot of comments on that trailer, okay, you have no browser, you got no Netflix. What are you really bringing on September 18th to show me that it's okay to pay? And the feeling, the sentiment that, hey, Nintendo's online is steps behind, years behind. It's free, it's okay. As soon as you introduce a charge, it brings all of that like directly to the forefront. Now, I feel that their charge, their $20 a year is this is the hard part, right? Because if they charge $50, then I think we're all up in arms. At $20, they have set themselves up to be in this weird limbo where it's hard for me to be mad about not getting a ton of features. At the same time, I think it's very odd that they, want to turn this on a year later. They clearly feel like they're giving you something cool with the NES games, but to me, that's the crux of where this went wrong. I don't know that I ever thought onboard messaging or proper voice chat was ever going to be a part of this. I definitely thought they would add apps before September 18th, before this launched. But to me, it's the virtual console, like, at some level, that has people have become disillusioned with that. And I don't know if it's the way Nintendo rolled it out, the fact that they haven't announced anything beyond these 3 NES games a month, but I feel like that is sort of where the cookie crumbled, kind of.
Yeah, and some of these things just don't even make sense, right? You have a tablet-like system that has a keyboard on it, right? A touchpad keyboard, very similar to your phone. Sending a message to your friend saying, "Hey, let's. I see you're playing something else. Would you like to hop on NBA 2K and have a game together?" Right? You can't do that, and you can do it everywhere else. Mm-hmm. And Nintendo seems to on purpose be making an inferior product. And speaking off air, you and I were talking and saying hey, they can do these things. Why aren't they? Right. Nintendo knows how to make a messaging system for the Switch. I'm sure they can.
Yeah.
They're not doing it. We don't know why. But something so basic, if you made a friend playing Splatoon, right? You added him, you typed in the very long friend code. And now you want to play games with them, and you see them online playing Super Mario Odyssey. You wonder, hey, that game's been out for a while. Maybe we can play some Rocket League together. You have no way of interacting with them.
Yeah, you'd have to make sure they have the app and add them there, and do it that way, which is doable. And again, it's possible, but to me, it's just this issue of it feels like they are being withholding, that they are being. Some people I saw even said greedy. And I'm sure from their perspective, they don't see it that way. I think it's just this issue of, the Switch felt like a very giving platform. It's really cool. You can play on the go. You can play at home. We're going to do these regular releases. Zelda's bigger and better than ever. Splatoon 2 is fantastic. And content. So they've kind of conditioned people to be hey, we're very gamer. We're very fan. We're very consumer focused. This one sort of seems like the opposite of that. And I don't know that Nintendo views it this way, but for a lot of the fans, and even us to an extent, why is it so limited? Why is it so restricted? Why aren't there more of these simple things? And you could argue, well, at the price point, but as you mentioned, the other platforms have most of this even without that paywall. It's sort of an apples and oranges thing because Nintendo I don't think has ever wanted or maybe ever will be, they won't ever have online parity or networking parity. But this is when they're going to start turning on the money and the subscriptions. I guess my question is, in 3 months, are people still upset? What are the numbers? Do the numbers even out? Do people just inevitably pay for it? And how many people are completely unaware and are going to turn on their Switch on the 19th, the morning of the 19th, and be oh, ready for Mario Kart? Nope. No, you're not.
Well, yes, people will get over it. People will pay, right? People are gonna want to play Super Smash Brothers online. Yeah. So there's very little you can do to get around it. Unless you're that serious about a boycott, and that's not a sentiment I see. I don't think I'm seeing very many boycott petitions happening or anything like that. So it's not that serious because the cost is so low. But why is Nintendo okay with being? And I love Nintendo. I love them. One of my favorite developers and publishers. Why are they okay with being so mediocre at this?
And I guess it's just do they feel that they are? And they're trying.
They have to know that they are. They know that. That the other platforms are doing it way better than you.
It just feels so limited. I think if they were I think this is one of those times where we often talk about does Nintendo's close to their sleeve behavior benefit them or hurt them? And hey, they were incredibly open about their 2019 lineup in the last Direct, but if they had indicated like, hey, here's how cool Smash Bros. Online is going to be, or if they had timed this online launch with a game that was going to really take advantage of it, or if they said, hey, going forward, we're going to give a bunch of free costumes or something like that in these games to subscribers, they have said very little still. And I think, like, okay, so you get this one Splatoon outfit, right, or these Splatoon, this limited amount of gear, and you get the NES games. We don't know beyond that. We don't know what the discounts are. I mean, it's very weird to me that the NES controllers are tied to the online, and this is a new development as far as I'm aware. Did you know, Gabe, that when you sign up, you get to pick between either a 7-day free trial or being able to buy the NES controllers at launch?
No.
You can't have both.
No, I didn't know that. But, we've talked briefly about the NES controllers. And, like, hey, like, I guess, like, it's fine that they're only selling it to subscribers because you can't use them in any other way. So you can't sell them to everybody. Like, so that part makes sense. It's just I didn't know it was the either-or thing.
Well,
like
and that your perk is
why?
that you get to potentially buy these $60 controllers.
Why?
It's very, very strange. I think in a couple months, this sort of is swept under the rug, and I do hope that Nintendo is able to make additions along the way. There are very simple things they could do to really right the ship. I mean, something as small as having Netflix, having a browser, having themes would go such a long way. I feel like if they had just patched a few holes, you don't need the most beautiful ship in the sea, but if they just patched a few of these holes, they would have avoided almost all of this. Yeah, there'd still be pushback over the pay, but if you had themes, if you had at least a more rounded out service, the fear and the concern and the upset to me is around exactly what you said at the top, Gabe. When you turn on your Switch with the online subscription, how much is different? And it's virtually nothing. The cloud saves, yes, are kind of cool. For some players, that will never even impact or matter.
Yeah.
And therefore, you have the NES games, I guess, but you got to be into that. And I feel like the Virtual Console fervor has really faded.
Yeah, well, Nintendo decided to say, "Hey, Virtual Console's not coming back. This is our version of Virtual Console now." But I've sounded very negative about Nintendo this whole time. So now let me say how they can fix things to make me happy, and not that I'm unhappy. Nintendo has my money. I'm paying for this thing tonight.
We're both buying it.
Yeah.
And I do feel like $20 is a low enough ask that, yes, I'm frustrated with some of the things that they have done, and yes, I can get nitpicky, but it still is a little hard for me, if I'm being brutally honest, it's a little hard for me to find the energy to complain about something that costs me $2 a month.
Okay, so this
less
is
than
how
$2 a month.
If they did these things, I feel like me and a lot of other people are happy. One, make it so cloud saves are for every game. They're cheaters, really. So because a handful of people like cheat, you're going to penalize everyone else instead of figuring out a way to stop them. There is ways to stop them. Other platforms already do it. It's not that difficult. Figure that out. Mm-hmm. That's A. B, I said one and I'm switching to letters. I'm cool. B, give us messaging, right? I know you and I wouldn't use it a whole lot, but I've seen enough people complain about it that I feel like that's something that the majority of the player base like really, really wants.
Yeah.
So give that. And then include a browser and some apps. Let people watch YouTube on your platform. Let people watch Netflix or whatever. I mean, Hulu's already there, but give people the apps they want and just throw in some themes and then we're happy. Make themes exclusive to people that pay for this. Everyone's getting it because everyone wants their Switch to look cooler.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, just a handful of things. That's all you got to do.
I think transparency on what the future plans are going to be, if there's going to be some more exclusive DLC, some more fun things that you get out of this, if they are going to bring SNES games, if they do plan to expand this catalog. I think with how many indie titles are on Switch and the overwhelming feeling that some players experience, like, I don't want more pixel side-scrollers, bringing in a limited supply of NES games doesn't do a whole lot for some players. And I feel if they had expanded the catalog rapidly, or at least from, and even initially, like say you had said, hey, we have 100 of our best NES games, or we have 100 of our best games across platforms, that would have been super cool. But treating it like these are these like super incredible experiences that need to be doled out ever so. I mean, look, Nintendo wants to put 30 games on the eShop a week, but they can only give us 3 NES games a month. Like, come on, that's not very friendly. And I think so laying forward a plan for what are you really doing with these classic games? Is it going to expand to what we want, or is it going to be limited forever? And then just the simple stuff. For me, it's browser, it's Netflix, it's themes, it's very easy things that would help make this feel like a 2018 system instead of now we're charging you for something that we haven't even brought up to speed. I do want to add this, Gabe, though. I think it's important to look at this as a well-rounded whole picture, because this video, 330,000 views, it's a lot of views. At the same time, it's not a lot of views. To give you an idea, the new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe trailer, which to me isn't even that exciting of a trailer, has over double that number. But Forbes just came out with a list of the most reliable companies in the world, and this would be based on customer satisfaction, how they feel about the manufacturing quality, the customer service, and just the overall quality of what the company offers. Nintendo came in at number 11 worldwide. There are no other video game companies near them, and the entities above are some of the best in the world. Walt Disney, Visa, Hilton, PayPal, Amazon. They probably don't feel the need to do a whole lot when that is the result that they get.
I guess, but you're not competing with them. You're competing with Sony and with Microsoft.
I get it, but I think it's important to note that at the end of the day, this may not impact them at all.
Yeah, okay, so we as gamers continuously give them a pass and reward mediocrity from them, which is a problem. And I hate to keep comparing them. This month, PlayStation Plus members are getting Destiny 2, God of War 3 Remastered, and a whole bunch of other stuff for PS Vita and things like that. But they're getting Destiny 2, a game that's 1 year old. And the price, of course, is very different, but we're getting 20 NES games and then 3 every month, right, subsequently. Like, it doesn't match up. Like,
would you feel differently if you got an eShop game? Because there's no way Nintendo is going to give you, like, oh, hey, you get, I don't know, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But if they gave you an eShop game a month, or if, like, one of them was free, would that change things for you? Neither of us mentioned that in our wants, but would that impact this?
Yeah, maybe, because eShop, like a good eShop game, Rocket League was free, right, when it first came out for PlayStation. Mm-hmm. If you can do something like that, like a game like that's that good, just give that for free for 1 month and then afterwards like charge people for it, then yeah, I guess it's just like,
because that's like the best feature of PlayStation Plus, right? So if they said, hey, our big holiday, our November game is going to be Celeste free on Nintendo Switch Online, that's another way that they could really improve this.
That's huge, because then you're paying $20 a year, and that game alone is like $20. So right. Sure, stuff like that. But like these NES games, I know we won't play them. Like I'm excited to try them, very excited to try them. But am I playing an NES game every day? No.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I just thought it was interesting to bring up the fact that as much frustration as there is, and some comments saying, "Oh, this is the beginning of the end," it's probably not going to impact them. And I don't think that means that. I don't think like that either giving them a pass, like, or them being like, those aren't like on opposite ends of the spectrum to me. I just think it's sort of a thing that for whatever reason, this company are focused on different things, and they find success in those ways. This is frustrating. It's not great. I don't know that I expected a whole lot different.
Yeah, well, I only expected a little different because they said there would be something different. They said that there would be more. They're like, hey, we'll talk about more. We have some exciting stuff that's going to make it a great value to gamers. And they were alluding to something else happening, and then it just didn't happen. So,
I think it was just the full explanation of the NES titles and the cloud saves, I guess.
We've known the full explanation. Like no new information was given. Like, I laughed to you. I said, Zach, why does Nintendo keep tweeting the same thing about this thing over and over for months?
That's all there is.
I mean, sure, I guess. Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, it'll be very interesting to see how things shake out over the next 3 months.
We will be there for every step of the way.
Yeah, I mean, we're both buying it tonight. Are you guys buying it? Are you able to reconcile the fact that it's not that great to still continue paying and playing your online multiplayer titles? Will this affect Nintendo, and should it, I guess? Maybe that's the question. Should they feel something for delivering an underwhelming service?
What do you think?
I just think that their company isn't about that. I think when you look at what they do focus on, they do that so well, and this is just not an area that they emphasize. And as you see from their profits, as you see from their customer satisfaction, they are killing it. And I don't think that's giving them a pass. I just think this isn't. Should it be? Yes. Could it be? Absolutely. But I guess I've kind of come to this place where I don't think that's what they're going to be. from like this online, up to date, delivering the goods. The Switch, I saw some people say, and I can get behind this, like it felt like they were on such the right track. Third parties, regular releases, up to date, new, innovative. Many of those things still hold true, but we're seeing, at least from like a mindset and execution standpoint, a lot of the same Nintendo isms are still there. And you can feel however you feel about that. It sure helps when you have great games. So I think the 2019 lineup does, it's hard to argue with a lineup like that. So I don't know how long this frustration lasts, but
not long. People will get over it. Again, me being slightly, I'm not very upset. I'm sorry if I sound upset during this video, guys. I'm not that upset by it.
It's tricky. It's tricky to talk about. I think genuinely it's hard to know, like, how much do you hold them accountable? How much do you say that's just not who they are? It's just really it's a dicey discussion, and it's one that clearly has sparked a lot of controversy.
Yeah, this whole time, like, I know I sound like loud and abrasive. I'm only passionate. Like, I love Nintendo. Like, again, they have my money. Like, I'm gonna support what they're doing. I love their games. They make my favorite games. So, I mean, I'm with them. It's just like, again, it's so hard to see like what at the very least what we see to be the masses. I don't know if it's the actual masses, because like you said, like people in Middle America, they might not even know this is happening.
Right.
But when we see all this fervor and I'm like, hey, that's a good point. Like, hey, that's a good point too. Like, it's very hard not to get like swayed by that, unfortunately.
And when will Nintendo adjust? Will they ever see this and reconcile? Will they ever feel a need to appease? And this is a chance. They're stepping their toes further into the online waters than they have before, and they're having extreme success with the Switch. Even that is unprecedented at the levels above their previous platforms. And so, will this be a chance for them to adjust and modify, or will they stick to what they feel are their, principles or whatever you want to call them? And, it'll be 2020 and we'll be like, man, it could be cool to have a browser on the Switch. It'd be cool to have Netflix. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see for that. But let us know your take. Are you subscribing to this thing? Are you just not? And why? Love to hear it from you in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe to us every day on all the latest and greatest from the Switch. The greatest and not so greatest about the Switch Online service. We'll have that coverage for you once it goes live immediately. You can follow us on Twitter and Discord for instant updates if you'd like. Those links in the description below. For now, though, for myself and Gabe, thanks so much for watching. Fantastic day. Very, very interesting discussion. Switch Force out.